Thank you, A.J. Miller. Hey, that had to be a setup. Your mom gets the flowers. Come on now. No, I believe it. I've seen Blake. Hands down, that's you. Hey, great to see each and every one of you. Happy Mother's Day. This morning, we are going to be highlighting a partner ministry of ours, and it's called Mama's House. Mama's House is a ministry in our valley that ministers to new moms and moms in crisis. Sometimes these new moms are contemplating whether they even want to deliver their baby or not. And it's a wonderful, wonderful home that is a safe, loving environment. And they've got a tagline there that says, "Love lives here," and it really does, because they help these new moms complete high school and continue on in their education. They give them vocational training and all kinds of different resources in order to really set them up for success. And we are so excited to highlight them. We've got a short video, so take a look at this.
Ever since I could remember, I had nowhere to call home. My mom was a drug addict and my dad was in jail. I ended up in foster care until my aunt and uncle took me in when I was 4 years old. By the time I reached high school, my life started to fall apart. I began partying, doing drugs, and having sex. I dropped out of high school multiple times. All my partying led to 2 DUIs, and shortly after I found out I was pregnant. I was lost and I didn't know what to do. I looked for help and I found Mama's House. Looking back, I can say that being here has been an answer to my prayers. When I walked into the Hope Center, I felt at ease, and it was here that I finally found a place that I felt safe, where I could find rest. Mama's House not only cared about my success in life, but also my spiritual walk. Growing up, I attended church, but never had a relationship with God. I didn't fully understand until I met my mentor, who journeyed with me and taught me more about God's love. Now, I just don't know about God, but I have a personal relationship with Him. I've been able to accomplish all this and more at Mama's House because of what they have to offer. Thanks to the amazing volunteers that helped babysit my babies so I can attend classes and therapy. They also took the time to drive me to appointments, teach me parenting and new life skills like cooking, caring for a home, and how to be a good mother. Now I feel equipped and ready to raise my baby so she can have a better life and prayerfully never have to experience some of the things that I've had to go through.
It's pretty exciting stuff, isn't it? We're so proud of Mama's House. Hey, I want to introduce you to heroic mom that's from Mama's House. Can you please help me welcome to the stage Autumn and her daughter, Sadie. Hi, Autumn. How you doing?
Hi.
I love Sadie. Sadie has a special place in my heart because my grandmother's name was Zadie with a Z, and it's a pretty unusual name, and it's so close, and we love Sadie. She is a special person. Sadie, how you doing today? You want to help me preach? You want to help me preach the sermon today? Yeah? Okay.
All right.
Well, Autumn, you are a heroic mom, and we love you so very much. And you've been coming to our church for a while now. How long have you been coming to Shadow Rock?
I since the pandemic, I started coming here.
Awesome. And who's your favorite pastor?
Well, I love all pastors.
That is a good, safe answer. Good, safe answer. So tell us a little bit about your experience with Mama's House. How did you come to arrive at Mama's House? How did you hear about them? And what did that mean to you?
Well, how I came to arrive at Mama's House, I'm like, could you ask the question again?
How did you first arrive at Mama's house, and what was that experience like as you
okay.
first encountered these people that you really didn't know before then?
Okay. Yeah, when I first arrived there, the home, it really felt safe. I felt love from the staff. They're always willing to pray for you, to talk to you. They're just truly servants of God, the staff there at Mama's house, yes.
And one of the great things about Mama's house is they have all kinds of different programs and classes and different things that you could be a part of. Was there a particular course that they offered that really impacted you, that helped you the most?
Yeah, the Pathway to Success program was very helpful. They basically just go over, like everything, your education. I think education was the main thing. It involves parenting classes, domestic violence. I've gone back to school to get my high school diploma, and then I've gone back to school 2 more times. So, yeah, the education at Mama's house is very big there.
Awesome. Wow, that's fantastic. That's a huge accomplishment. If they ever asked me to go back to school now, that would be the most terrifying thing ever.
She's studying to get her ultrasound technician license.
Oh, you're kidding. That's
Yeah.
amazing. So I don't know if you heard that, but she's studying to get her ultrasound tech license. So that's pretty needed at Mama's house. One of the great things at Mama's house is they introduced you in a relationship with Jesus Christ. So talk a little bit about what that has meant to you.
Having a relationship with Jesus is what has, created like a permanent change in me and who I am, and it really has been just the foundation for my life and parenting especially. It's without God, I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't have come this far.
Well, you've come a long way. And we just want to encourage you. I think you're heroic. I honestly do. And I have such deep respect for you, for the journey that you've taken. It's not, I'm sure, been easy at times, but you've courageously attacked it. And look at what God's doing in your life. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. That takes a lot of courage. When people list out their fears, so number 2 is death, and number 1 is public speaking.
Yeah.
So people would literally rather die than public speak. But we love that you came and shared your heart with us. Can we give our appreciation to Autumn again? And Sadie. Thank you, guys.
And I just want to give a shout out to the women at Mama's house. I admire every one of you, and you are all strong, courageous women.
Thank you. And I think we have some special guests from Mama's house here today, and we want to especially thank each and every one of you. Sadie, we love you so much. You're amazing. We say all the time here at Shadow Rock, when you give to Shadow Rock, you're really giving through Shadow Rock, because there is a sincere desire on the part of our church to be a blessing to our community. And we want to bless Mama's house today by hopefully raising a bunch of money for them. Now, so many of you generously support our church, and we appreciate that so very much. But today we're going to give you an opportunity to also support Mama's house. And there's 5 ways to give. There's an envelope in the seat pocket in front of you that you could take. And there's some wonderful gift boxes outside that you could You could put your offering in if you want to do that this morning, but you can also do it by giving online, by texting SRC Give to 77977. You can give through our website, but we encourage everybody to generously support Mama's House on this Mother's Day. What a great tribute that would be on this very special day as we're blessing some of these new moms and the wonderful things that they're doing. Well, we want to say again, Happy Mother's Day. How many moms do we have here? All right. How many grandmothers do we have? Grandmothers. Do we have any great-grandmothers? Wow, fantastic. My wife's grandfather would always go to my kids, and he says, "You're the one that made me great." I love that. So I don't know if we can go this far. Is there any great-grandmothers here? Not double great. All right. Well, we just want to say we love each and every one of you. And on this Mother's Day, sometimes it's a mixed bag of emotions because you may have been trying to adopt a child and just kind of hitting roadblock after roadblock, or maybe you have adopted a child. We want to honor you as well. But even if you're going through that process, Happy Mother's Day. Maybe you've been trying to have a child that you desperately want, but you've been having some infertility problems and it just hasn't worked out yet, but you have a mother's heart. We want to honor you today. But whenever Mother's Day rolls around, sometimes there's additional emotions because you may feel, your child may have already passed away. Your child may be in prison. You may be estranged from your child. You may feel like your relationship with your children is strained and you're looking at other people's relationship and you're like, how come I can't have a relationship like that? And you have all of these emotions that are pinging around in your heart. And Mother's Day is one of those things that celebrates the best in society, but it also, in many ways, maybe highlights the worst in society. It highlights some of the struggles that all of us face. And so we are so glad that you're here, and hopefully we can just infuse some hope and infuse some grace into your life, because let's face it, not one of us is perfect. We all kind of fall short. And you may be here and you looking at your relationship with your mom, and maybe your mom wasn't perfect. Maybe your mom had some issues and problems in her life. But the Bible says to honor your father and mother. And it says when you do that, you'll live a long life, and your life will be full of blessing. And the great thing is when you honor even your imperfect mom, you're really honoring God. And you're finding a pathway to ultimately honor yourself. If you can't honor your imperfect mom, it's hard to honor even yourself. It's hard to find value in yourself because you're not perfect either. And maybe you're a mom here and you've got some of those feelings as well. Let me tell you, nobody's perfect. And there is amazing grace that wants to elevate you and lift you up, and we just want to encourage you in every possible way that we can. Ephesians chapter 6, I read it earlier, honor your father and mother. This is a place of honor. This is a place of encouragement. We just want to be a cheerleader to you, especially on this very special day. You know, when I was a kid growing up, I believed that there were monsters underneath my bed. Does anybody remember this? There were literal monsters underneath my bed, and I would run into my bed that stood, at least at that time, it seemed like it stood very high off the ground, and I would jump as far as I could away from the bed, and I would grab hold onto the bed, and I would pull myself up on top of the bed, and then I would get in the very middle of my bed and make sure that my arms and my feet, and because monsters love to eat toes. They love toes. And I'd just get in the very middle of my bed, and I would slowly go to sleep, and I would stay like that until my mom came and got me the next day. And every night, I would just jump as far as I could, climb up on the bed. Well, one night, I'm lying there in the middle of my bed, and I'm protected from the monsters because everybody knows they can't reach up into the middle of the bed. And I'm about to drift off to sleep, and all of a sudden I hear growling. It sounds just like growling. And I'm like, it's about to go down. They're coming to get me. And sure enough, the growling continues. And I am terrified. I remember this so vividly even now because I was so scared. And you could just hear this growl, and it was just like, whoa, what's going on? And I stayed like that for about an hour, right there in the middle of my bed, terrified. And then it began to occur to me that a few weeks earlier, my grandmother had moved into our house to live with us. And she moved into the bedroom that was next door to my bedroom. And I'm like, that might be my grandmother, and she might be snoring right now. And it slowly began to dawn on me, I think that's what it is, but I never got out of the bed to really check. My grandmother moved in with us when I was fairly young and stayed with us all the way through my high school years till I went off to college. And she, when she came to live with us, is a little bit of a difficult time for me because she displaced me from my bedroom. And so she moved into my bedroom and I was moved out to another bedroom. I had just gotten this brand new bedroom furniture, and she took the brand new bed furniture and I got the other bedroom. And so I think right at the beginning, I had a little bit of mixed emotions about my grandmother living with us. And she was always a little bit eccentric. She always wanted to be called grandmother, not grandma, not any nicknames like that. I mean, she was kind of formal in that way, and she wanted to be grandmother. She wanted us to esteem her in that way. And so it always felt a little awkward and maybe a little strained. And it was like that when she first moved in, and just a kind of a new personality in our home. And I remember I grew up in church, and I was doing this skit at church, and my friend growing up, his name was Chris McKegg. He's still my friend today, probably one of my oldest friends. He has 2 kids. They call me, and his kids pray for me, even today. And Chris, does anybody have a friend in your life that you barely survived because they almost killed you numerous times? Chris McKegg almost killed me numerous times. I was ejected from a car by Chris McKegg. It's a long story, but I barely survived. Bad things could have happened with Chris McKegg around. And we were doing this skit, and Chris McKegg had made this concoction of stuff from his kitchen that was kind of gross, and he left it out on his kitchen counter, and it was things that really should have been refrigerated. And he just left it out all night on his kitchen counter, and we went and did the skit, and then he thought it would be hilarious if he threw it at me. And so he throws it at me, and just the smallest little fragment of the junk that he left out on the kitchen counter all night long got into my mouth. And I'm like, oh, gross. And the next day, you can imagine, I was sicker than I've ever felt in my entire life. And I barely survived, and it's all part of Chris McKegg. But I didn't go to school. I was up all night, puking my guts out. And the next day, I couldn't go to school. I don't think I've ever been that sick in my entire life. And we had 2 living room areas, and it was separated by this see-through fireplace. And I got out of bed, and I'm laying on the couch and just feeling miserable. And thank you. There's a great mom right there. And I was lying there and I'm feeling miserable. And all of a sudden, my grandmother and my mom come down, and they're in the living room area that's adjacent to mine through the see-through fireplace. They don't know that I'm there. And they get up, and I'm listening to them. And they start by reading the Bible. And they read a couple of chapters in the Bible. And then they start to pray. And they start to pray for me. And they prayed, of course, that I would recover because I was so sick. They prayed that I would no longer be friends with Chris McKegg because they wanted me to survive. They prayed for my future spouse. They prayed for my future. They prayed for my faith. And they went right down through the list. They prayed for my younger twin sisters. They prayed for my older brother. And they probably prayed, I would guess, for about an hour. And it occurred to me at some point as I was listening to them that they did that every single day. Nice. And I've probably shared that, I don't know how many times in our church, because it was life-changing for me. Because at that moment, they imparted something to me that changed everything. Because I saw their sincere faith. In fact, Paul, in his writing to Timothy, it resonates so much with me. In 2 Timothy chapter 5, verse 5, it says this, as Paul's talking about Timothy's faith. He says, I'm reminded of your sincere faith, which first lived in your grandmother Lois and in your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded now lives in you also. You see, somewhere along the line in Timothy's family, there was a legacy of sincere faith that was passed down generation to generation to generation. And my encouragement to you as a mom, you can begin a legacy of faith. And the wonderful thing that happens when you establish this legacy in your own life, whether you're a new mom, whether your kid is 2 years old, 5 years old, 40 years old, 70 years old, you can begin, even now, a legacy of faith. And I promise you, your sincere faith will change lives. Your sincere faith will change your family for generations. You will greatly affect your children, your children's children, your children's children's children. And it will change everything. It will begin to change a community. It will begin to change marriages. It will begin to change churches. It'll change our nation. Because as you know, moms are the backbone of our nation. When God breathes life into this world, he breathes life through a mom. Life happens through a mom. And every single one of you has a mom. If there anybody here that doesn't have a mom, I mean, we all have moms. Life happens through a mom. And the legacy of a mom is amazing. Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6 says, start children off on the way that they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. That is the kind of foundational verse of our entire children's and youth ministry. What we say in children's ministry is we want small children to develop big faith that they'll never, never, never leave. And from birth all the way through college years, we're trying to instill faith, sincere faith, in the hearts and life of our children. And you can see some of our college students and our young adults and see the impact that that has had upon them. We want small kids to develop big faith that they'll never leave. And you as moms and you dads, you're establishing that by your sincere faith. Proverbs chapter 1, verse 8 says, don't neglect your mother's instructions. What you learn from them will crown you with grace and be a chain of honor around your neck. My wife has an aunt that 17 years ago passed away. And her name was Esther Pogue. And Esther is my wife's mom's sister. And Esther contracted non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And she fought it with chemotherapy, She went into remission, and then the cancer came back, and she opted not to endure chemotherapy. Esther had gone through kind of a difficult, ugly divorce late in life after many, many years of marriage. And she had 3 children, Christina, Liz, and Mark. And all 3 of Trisha's cousins have children of their own now. But Esther moved into one of her kids' house, and there was a study there, and it had windows that overlooked, the outside. They lived in the Northwest and near Seattle, Washington. And Esther would spend her days getting up in the morning, and she would open up her Bible, and then she would pray for her family and for her children. And there'd be a box of tissues right there on the chair as well, because she would normally pray with tears. Every morning, she would get up, read her Bible, and pray for her kids with tears. Esther fought a valiant fight against cancer. And like I said, she passed away about 17 years ago. The interesting thing about Esther's legacy is even after Esther passed away, that chair was in the study with an open Bible and a box of tissues. For months, if not years, it sat like that as a monument to a mother's sincere faith. In fact, her kids have said numerous times over the years, as they think about the memory of their mom, what they talk about is a mom who got up every morning, opened up her Bible, and prayed for her kids, usually with tears. It's a legacy of faith. It's a sincere faith that's established from a mom, from a grandmother, passed on generation to generation, that changes everything. It changes hearts, it changes lives. And it's an enduring legacy that every single mom here can establish right now, no matter how old you are, no matter how old your kids are, no matter the mistakes that you've made in your past, no matter the times that you look back and you're like, I could have done that better. You know what? The great thing is you can establish a legacy of sincere faith now. Dads, even on this Mother's Day, you can start a legacy of sincere faith now. And that legacy would change everything, because there are Timothys coming up. There are Timothys coming up that are going to change the world. And I know that we have so many wonderful moms here, and the great thing about moms is they insulate their kids from all of their struggles. I know some of you moms struggle so hard. You work very, very hard. We have single moms here. Let me tell you, single moms, you are my heroes, because I see the amount of just sheer weight that you have to carry every single day. You are heroic. You deserve all of our honor and respect, especially on a day like today. And the wonderful thing is your kids walk around here, and I say this all the time to our kids workers. I want kids to walk around this place like they own the place. You know what I'm saying? And every now and then a kid will mark on the walls, and they'll break something or different things like that. And I'm like, well, they're the owners. I want them to walk around like they own the place. And the great thing is when you see a kid, they're insulated from all of the struggles perhaps that their mom faces or their parents face or that they faced on a family. And that happens not by accident, because there's usually a mom there that has become the guardian of that, has become the one that insulates their home, that carries that weight so their kids don't have to. And we celebrate you. That's heroic. It's a lot like what Jesus did when he crawled up on the cross for you, to carry a weight that you could not carry by yourself. And moms, you're following the path of Christ. because you're taking that weight upon yourself. You're insulating your kids. You're paying a price, perhaps, that your kids will never have to pay. I've had friends that have talked about some of the difficulties that they've faced in the course of their life and the struggles that they faced and family legacies that have happened generation to generation. And my grandparents did that. My great-grandparents did that. And I struggled with it. And my response often is, yeah, you struggled with it, but your kids won't have to. Amen. It stops with you because of the price that you paid. And moms, I just want to honor you today. I celebrate you. You are what the Bible calls Proverbs 31 women. You are a virtuous and capable woman who carries so much. And towards the end of that chapter, I just want to read this as a blessing over your life. I just want you to receive this as a blessing in your life from Christ himself. It says this, she's clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs without fear of the future. And when she speaks, her words are wise, and she gives instructions with kindness. She carefully watches over everything in her household and suffers nothing from laziness. Her children stand and call her blessed. Her husband praises her. There are many virtuous and capable women in the world, but you surpass them all. Why don't you bow your heads and close your eyes with me? Maybe you're here. Maybe you're the son of a mom, the daughter of a mom. Maybe you're a mom yourself. Maybe you're a dad. Maybe you're a grandmother. But you can establish a legacy of sincere faith that will change your family forever. You can establish a legacy of sincere faith that I believe changes the whole world. Because you don't change the world by governments and politics. You change the world with a family. You change the world with a mom. You change the world in the life of a child. That's how you change the world. And if you want to establish a legacy of sincere faith by putting your faith in Jesus Christ and allow him to wash over you and allow him to speak value over your life, allow his grace to wash over you. And yeah, you're not going to do it perfect. You're going to make mistakes. But you're sincere. You're trying. And that sincere faith, not perfect faith, but sincere faith, changes everything. If you want to establish that sincere faith in your life, can you just slip up a hand? I'm not going to point you out or embarrass you, but can you slip up a hand as your own personal statement of faith? I'm establishing a legacy of sincere faith right now. Lord Jesus, you see these hands, you see these hearts. Lord, I thank you for courageous moms. I thank you for an Esther Pogue. I thank you for the wonderful moms even that we've highlighted here today. I thank you for Autumn, a heroic mom who's changing everything because of her sincere faith. I thank you for the wonderful moms that are here from Mama's house that are courageously starting new family legacies because of their sincere faith. And so, Lord, I pray for every person, Lord, that is entrusting their life to you. I pray that you would wash over them, that you would empower them. And Lord, that new legacies are established because of them. And Lord, I thank you that there may be many capable and virtuous women in the world, but the women here today, their courage, with their heroic optimism, well, they surpass them all. And I thank you for that. In the mighty name of Jesus, amen.